All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jessica Trimble, and I am the Director of Communication and Outreach here at Indiana Disability Rights. And over the past 4 months or so, we have changed from doing our Facebook Live videos to doing Zoom interviews with different people, either in our agency or out of our agency, about their areas of expertise and their organizations. So today I am so excited to have Amy, I almost called you Amy Corbin with us to learn a little bit more about ABLE accounts. You might have heard about them in the past and maybe wanted to learn more or get to a presentation. So I know Amy's been working hard to do a lot of virtual things. So we're excited to invite her to our meeting, our interview today, to talk a little bit about it. So Amy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Thank you very much for having me back. My name is Amy Corbin, and I am the Executive Director for the Indiana ABLE Authority. And the ABLE Authority oversees our state-sponsored ABLE Savings Program, Invest ABLE Indiana. We're getting ready to approach an anniversary of the program. So we've been around in the state for a few years now, still very new, and I'm working hard to, with the help and supports of organizations such as IDR, to get the word out and educate people on ABLE accounts.
So I know you said you're coming up on your 4th work anniversary at ABLE accounts, and we know ABLE accounts have been around about the same amount of time. So can you give us a little, maybe a brief review of ABLE accounts and why they exist and why they're important and why they can benefit people with disabilities?
Absolutely. So ABLE accounts, just think of them as an incredible financial empowerment tool. They are another tool in an individual's toolbox, but they specifically allow for tax advantage savings and the ability to maintain one's benefits without, to save without losing one's benefits, I'll say. So that tax advantage savings portion, to cap it on to the ability to save without losing your benefits, is a huge bonus to a lot of individuals that are utilizing ABLE accounts. So to kind of give you an idea of who can open an ABLE account, either the eligible individual can open the account on their own, or a parent, a guardian, or someone that is a power of attorney can open an account on behalf of an individual. So again, just think of it as another tool in your toolbox, maybe along with the benefits that you're receiving, other savings options that you may currently be utilizing, whether it be a personal checking or savings account, a trust, a special needs trust. All of these things can work together to help do as the ABLE acronym stands for, achieve a better life experience.
So you talk about there being a tax advantage to an ABLE account. Can you explain what a tax advantage is?
Absolutely. So the tax advantaged feature to ABLE accounts is that money can be contributed into the program and can grow. And so you'll have interest earnings on your initial investment. And as long as the money is spent on what are called qualified disability expenses, you don't pay any taxes on that interest, on that growth on your initial investment. So that is the tax advantage portion. You could also call it tax-free savings or earnings, as long as the money is used for those qualified expenses.
So one of the basic things is, am I eligible? How can somebody know if they or their child are eligible for an ABLE account or to open an ABLE account?
So an individual is eligible for an ABLE account as long as their blindness or disability occurred prior to the age of 26, And if they are receiving SSI or SSDI, they're automatically eligible. If they're not receiving either of those two benefits and they still meet that age of onset criteria, they can simply be eligible through self-certification. And what self-certification looks like is that they just essentially need to be able to verify or be able to produce, if requested, a doctor's written diagnosis of significant functional impairment. So a couple of good resources are points of reference to help an individual determine whether or not their disability is a qualifying disability for an ABLE account is looking at Titles 2 or 16 of the Social Security Act, or if they have a disability that's listed on the Social Security list of compassionate allowances. So it's commonly said that if you're able to meet the Social Security definition of disability, you're eligible. But as you might know, and many individuals might know, you might meet Social Security's definition of disability, but may not qualify for the benefits that they offer.
So, and I'm sure there's information on your website about some of this, so we can link in the description below the video. We can link to this information because we know it's a lot to process while you're listening, so we want to make sure people have other resources available to learn more. So you talk about qualified disability expenses, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So
can you talk about what that is, and then and I guess following that up, what can ABLE account money be spent on?
The best way to sum up qualified disability expenses, also known as QDEs, from an ABLE account, is to say, is it an expense that it can somehow, whether tightly or loosely, be related to that individual's disability, an expense that can improve or enhance their quality of life. So if you look at it that way, it's really, really broad. Even the way the federal legislation was written, it's a list of qualified expenses such as educational expenses, housing expenses, transportation, assistive technology, even basic living expenses can be covered from an ABLE account. Funeral and burial costs can be paid for out of an ABLE account. So some examples that I've heard of individuals using their ABLE account for is saving for a vehicle, saving for an accessible vehicle, wanting to save for a down payment on a home, or just being able to live independently and the costs associated with, moving out on your own. And there's individuals that are out there maybe using it to help supplement their retirement. It's just a really broad range of what it can be used for. Social Security Administration even recently updated their POMS, their Program Operations Management System. I'm sorry if I'm completely botching that up. I always call it the POMS, referred to as the POMS commonly. They even recently updated their POMS to specify that even food is an allowable expense from an ABLE account because it's a basic living expense. So if you need to buy your clothing, you want some job training, that sort of thing. Well, there are a lot of other benefits available to many individuals out there, whether it be Medicaid benefits, Social Security benefits, services and supports through vocational rehabilitation. An ABLE account can step in and help supplement some of the needs that aren't completely covered by that. So if you're looking at maybe a special therapy that you or your loved one would like to take part of that Medicaid doesn't fully cover, you can use your ABLE account or use the ABLE account to help cover the cost of that. It's just, I could go on and on. We could go down so many different rabbit holes about what can an ABLE account be used for, just because it really is really, really broad, and the true intention of these accounts were to help individuals live a more, a better quality of life and have more financial freedom and flexibility in what they can help support them in their quality of life.
So you and I have had some conversations in the past about the different ways people are using ABLE accounts, kind of what we talked about here. But can you talk a little bit about the difference in kind of two big categories you shared with me in the past, is how some people use it as kind of a checking savings account and some people use it as an investment vehicle. Can you talk a bit about those two differences and how people are using those in different ways?
Absolutely. So with Invest Able Indiana, so again, with our state's Able Savings Plan, we offer 6 different investment options that are a mix of mutual funds and ETFs that range from more conservative investments to more aggressive investments. And whether or not someone would choose to utilize one of those investment options is completely dependent on their circumstances and how they're looking to save for their needs, whether it be more short-term savings that they're looking for, or something down the road, so looking at more long-term forecasts for their savings. Within the investment options that we offer, there is, again, that potential for growth on the dollars that they invest into those options. We also offer a 7th option that is a very low interest bearing, albeit it's still some interest bearing, checking option. That option, the checking account through Invest Able Indiana, is offered through Fifth Third Bank. I will say that even though it's offered through Fifth Third Bank, you still go online to the Invest Able Indiana website to enroll. You would not go to a bank or a brick and mortar Fifth Third to open the checking option. But the checking option might be a little more appealing to someone who is just looking for more transactional use of their Invest Able account and maybe looking to pay for more short-term needs. Or maybe even someone that just isn't quite ready to take the leap into investing into those different investment options. You can use a combination of the different options as well if you want to invest in one of the different interest-bearing options or the checking option as well. And I will say with the checking option, the account owner or their authorized individual that's helping them manage the account does receive a debit card, and so they can use that when they go to Walmart or to Target to help buy their groceries and to use their money that way. Or they can go to an ATM, Fifth Third, or any of their in-network ATMs to make a withdrawal.
Well, you gave me a really good segue to my next set of questions. So we talk a lot at Indiana Disability Rights about really wanting people to be able to make their own choices, to live independently. So with that, are a lot of skill sets. And so financial literacy is a big skill set that everybody at some point in time needs to learn. So can you talk a little bit about how people might be able to use an ABLE account as a way to build financial literacy skills in positive ways?
Yes. So for example, let's say we have a young adult or an adult that's getting ready to transition into adulthood, approaching the age of 18, maybe going to live on their own or go to some sort of different living circumstances. Say, for example, the checking option might be very appealing to them or their parent or their guardian. To utilize that option to help walk them sort of through real life transactions and how they should or could be spending their money. But ultimately, the Invest Able account belongs to the qualified individual with the disability. So I know as parents, whether or not we have a child that is living with a disability or without, it can be really tough to sort of let the reins go and let them figure out how to manage their money on their own. But in using the checking option and working with whether it's your young adult or another individual who's learning how to manage money on their own, it can be a great option to utilize to work hand in hand and see how they're spending their money and what they have available to them and making wise choices. Kind of even touching on the the continued push and support of utilizing supported decision making, I think an ABLE account can work quite well in taking that path for planning. And if an individual has, as part of their team, someone that can help them manage the account. Specifically with InvestAble Indiana, we have, if I'm an individual that can open and run the account on my own, I can certainly do that. Or if I would rather open the account and have someone else help me, or either partially or completely manage it, they can do that with our plan as well. So with InvestAble Indiana, we have 4 different levels of authorization that an account owner can allow someone else to have to their InvestAble account. So for example, if the individual just wanted their support to be able to have access to the account to look and see, say, what the account balance is, or to receive regular statements, they can do that. Or if they would like to give that individual that's supporting them full power of attorney over their InvestAble account, they can do that as well. So with that full plan power of attorney over the over their InvestAble account, that support can help them manage their money, help pay for their expenses, that sort of thing.
So from what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like the different levels of authorization, if you would like somebody on your account, that's your decision. And then with the 6 investment options, and then the checking and debit account option as the 7th option, it sounds like ABLE accounts have a lot of flexibility to really let the individual decide what's a good fit for them.
Absolutely. So I always encourage individuals when considering opening an ABLE account is sit down with the supports that you have around you, whether it be a whole group of people or just another individual. Sometimes it might just be you on your own, but to sit down with your supports on your own and consider, like, what am I looking to save for? Help me paint my picture, so to speak, and what are my savings goals? Am I, again, looking to save for more short-term expenses, like just paying for my groceries on a weekly basis, or am I looking to buy a home? They're very flexible. And additionally, if an individual, I'll kind of touch on funding an ABLE account. How do you fund an ABLE account? It's $25 to open an InvestAble Indiana account. And you can fund it through checks, just automatic bank deposits, so ETFs, or electronic transactions from your personal checking account into your InvestAble account. If an individual is working and would like to have part of their paycheck deposited into their InvestAble account once a month, once a paycheck, or every paycheck rather, they can do that as well. We've tried to set up our plan to be very user-friendly and then also be very flexible to help meet the unique needs of the individual. So yes, you're correct in saying that it is flexible, and I know there's a lot of information that comes along, especially in regards to the ins and outs and how it works. You know, how do I take withdrawals from my account? That sort of thing. I'm here to answer questions. I always say in the past, or I always say that if you just want to walk through it together, we'll walk through it together, and I'll help you. I can't tell you where to invest and where to put your money, but I can help walk you through the steps. Our customer service team is a great dedicated group of individuals that will very patiently and kindly help guide an individual through the process to get their account set up.
So I think if you're like any person, financial stuff can be a little overwhelming and it can be a lot of information. So where are some other places that people can go for other resources to kind of learn and research a little bit more before they maybe call you or your customer service team to potentially set up an account?
So the best resource to access and go to for InvestAble Indiana would be our website, and that website is in.savewithable.com. And you can go on there and learn more about the program, learn more about who is eligible, what is a qualified disability expense, how do you open your account. The account, I think I might have touched on that you can open the account online, or you can have an enrollment kit sent to you. There are a lot of other good resources that are available through disability advocacy organizations. I know IDR has a lot of information out there about ABLE accounts and has their own in-house experts on it. The ABLE National Resource Center is also another great resource. But yes, if anyone wants to just reach out to me personally, I'm happy to talk through their unique circumstances or their needs, and help them figure out how it might best work within their circumstances and that sort of thing.
We'll make sure that we have all those resources in the video description below. We'll have direct links to that. Also, so Amy, as we're kind of wrapping up this very general brief overview of ABLE accounts, can you just share with me a story or something that you've learned about a client about what an ABLE account was able to do for them and how it really helped to impact their financial literacy or their financial goals or future?
Yes, I hear a lot of stories of individuals using their ABLE account to save for a vehicle. I've heard, I really like this particular story just because it's a very unique one, of a young man who is on the spectrum, and he felt that utilizing his ABLE account to pay for a gaming system, an Xbox, would be considered a qualified expense because he didn't communicate and interact with individuals, with his peers, in sort of an atypical, a typical, whatever that might be, sort of manner. So he felt that he could certify under penalty of perjury that his purchase of an Xbox to communicate and interact with his peers would be considered a qualified expense. I hear stories, a father once approached me at an event that I was at and was so excited to tell me about the fact that he'd opened up an ABLE account for his son, and how he was looking to save for his son's future educational needs. And knowing that with an investable account, if his son someday didn't go to college or engage in some sort of post-secondary education, that he didn't have to use the ABLE account just for educational needs. He could use it to spend it on whatever his other needs might be. I know as a parent, you can never really have peace of mind of really setting your kids up for their financial futures and for when you're no longer around. But to be able to fund an investable account a little bit here and there as your child is growing up, and additionally, if you're utilizing one of the investment options and having that potential for growth, you can save a significant amount in the account and help to offset any future needs that they might have. I know individuals use their ABLE accounts, their investable accounts, to pay for travel expenses. I get that question a lot as to whether or not an individual can use their account to pay for a vacation. This might be considered more of a gray area for some than for others. My go-to sort of advice is to look at all of your non-ABLE resources that might be able to help pay for the cost of that trip. So you want to go to Disney World. You've never been able to go with being limited to saving only $2,000 to your name. It's going to be really tough to afford a trip to Disney World. But if you look at your non-ABLE resources, so say your personal checking or savings account, and if that doesn't cover it, and certainly taking a trip like that could improve or enhance your quality of life and give you, help you to achieve that better life experience, then you can certainly look at your ABLE account to help fund that. If you need a certain support, if you need someone to travel with you as an aid or a support to you on a vacation, If you have to pay for certain accommodations or services while you're on that trip, absolutely an investable account can help to support that cost or that expense. I speak with estate planning attorneys that quite frequently will say, absolutely, an ABLE account could pay for a vacation because it's going to help improve or enhance their quality of life. So disclaimer, I'm not an attorney. I can't provide even tax-related advice or legal advice, but they're set up in such a way that they can be used for an individual's unique needs.
And that's really the goal of us chatting today, right? Is to let people know, again, this exists. It's very accessible at starting at $25 to open it. And we just want individuals with disabilities, family members to recognize that there are a lot of options and, like you said, tools in the toolkit to help support the people we care about, support ourselves, to be able to make our own choices about our own lives and to maintain our independence as long as possible. So I know it's a brief overview of ABLE. I'm sure a lot of you watching still have different questions we didn't cover, things that you still want to talk to Amy about. So we have Amy's permission to share her contact info. So if you want to get a hold of her and talk about your individual experience or your goals, she is always willing to give good customer service. So we'll make sure to put her information in the description of the video below as well. So with that, Amy, do you have anything else that you'd like to share today?
That is all. I just want to say thank you for having me, and we'll definitely be sure to put in my contact information and the links to the other resources that I mentioned.
All right. Thank you so much, Amy. It's so good to see your face. Thank you to our awesome interpreters, per usual. We're so glad to have you here. And with that, we'll just keep on keeping on, and we'll see what the next month brings us with ABLE and everything else in the world. Take care, everybody.